Hello and welcome back to the Darth Magog channel. I'm your host, the Dark Lord of the Apostates, Darth Magog, and today we have some interesting levels of childhood trauma that we want to review again. So I've called up from the 1914th Battalion, Clone Commander 5s. Commander?
Commander 5s is in the cantina.
We're a Star Destroyer. We would be honored if you would join us. Okay, Commander, so obviously we're going to be reviewing some Caleb and Sophia videos as we always do. But for our new viewers, would you like to explain to them why we have brought you up from the 1914th to review these with us?
Yes, so I've worked with young children in the field of early childhood education for many years, and I also hold an advanced degree in also early childhood education with a focus on trauma.
Excellent. Okay, well that being said, now that we have an expert on board, we're going to be reviewing quite a few of them. I put this to a vote last time. Last video, we obviously had the Caleb Cupcake video, and we did that.
We did do that.
Yes, that was a rough one. So next closest request was the Sister Elsa trilogy, so...
I saw that. What is that?
Oh, that's what you're gonna find out today.
Maybe
You're gonna
don't
find
tell
out
me.
right now, Commander.
Okay, alright.
Excellent then. Well, let's see if we can jump right into our first lesson, and it's going to be lesson 25, Making Friends. Here we go.
Alright, I'm guessing...
They're at a gathering.
Yeah.
Did you paint these?
I did.
They're amazing. How long have you been drawing?
As long as I can remember. It's my way of being able to share all the stories of my life.
Could you show me?
There you go.
Yes, of course. I remember a time when I was young and in
So
East
yes, that's
Germany.
not her grandmother
We
for the
weren't
record.
allowed to do our work as Jehovah's Witnesses. We were under ban. I helped in copying our Watchtower magazines by hand. And then
In Germany,
hiding
by the way.
food.
Gotcha.
You did?
Yes, we'd then send the food to our brothers who were in prison. I was also asked to help in distributing Bible literature to our congregations as an underground messenger.
International
Wow.
Super
Time
Spy.
passed and then things started getting better in Berlin.
I was about to ask where in
Shortly
Germany
after,
that was.
I immigrated
Yeah.
to New York, and I met my darling husband.
Probably Bethel.
Wow, that was a great story.
We glossed over a
Thank you.
lot of shite.
But I'm sure you have
All of World
stories.
War II.
What do you like to draw?
Well, actually, here. This was the time when Caleb and I went to the park and we met a little girl there. I'm glad I reached out that day. Lasting friends can be of any age when they love Jehovah.
Only when they love Jehovah.
Explicitly. And there's our message for the day.
Alright, you mentioned a trilogy.
Yes, this is a trilogy. First though, I think we should go over that video very briefly. Jehovah's Witness context behind that video. So it was called Making Friends, obviously, and as we can see, Sophia has found a commonality with Sister Elsa. Now, we've already reviewed a few other episodes earlier. Do you remember in the comment section that people were concerned about Lydia being noticeably older than the Sophia character? That didn't strike me.
Me neither, really.
Right. Well, it was because I grew up in the religion and comparatively speaking, that was pretty much nothing. Obviously, this is a woman who in 2016 had clearly been in at least her early 20s in World War II. So, what they're trying to say is you can find friendships in the Watchtower organization across the board. And the nice lesson I think they're trying to portray, even people who aren't your age can still find some commonality with you and still strike up friendships with them, which is a lovely concept. It encourages their strength with the Christian unity and all that. Doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from, your ethnicity, what religion you used to be. Point is, we're all brothers and sisters. Like, you notice she even called her Sister Elsa instead of Miss Elsa, and that's because Jehovah's Witnesses refer to each other by brother and sister as titles. And that's no matter how old you are. You could be 15 and refer to somebody well into their 80s and say, Sister Elsa, how you doing? Oh, doing very well, Brother Enoch. How are you? That's basic JW context here. There's a little bit more of a sinister angle to this one, unfortunately. But we can review that another time. But I wanted to hear from you. Do you see any red flags from this from a childcare perspective?
On its face, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing out to children you can have friends of any age. That, of course, can get dodgy.
How so?
Well, we already know that. I don't think we need to
already
delve too deeply into that, because I 100% don't think that any of that was present in this video.
No, that was very much a grandmotherly sort of relationship.
I don't think Sister Elsa has any ill intentions towards Sophia. So yeah, on its face, I was actually more struck by how, and I get it's for kids, but how they just whizzed past in the whole context of a childhood, and why there was an underground, Elsa's childhood, and why there was an underground movement in the first place.
Yeah, that is a weird one, especially since
Why would they? Okay.
No, go ahead and ask away.
Why, from a JW perspective, why would they do that? Beyond, well, it's for kids, we don't want to scare them.
Actually, believe it or not, that it's kind of a bizarre thing for them to skip over that. I can only assume because they were trying to make it more palatable to the general public. They do bring up purple triangles. That's the symbol they were forced to wear during World War II. That's actually very frequently brought up in talks, mostly in talks and book studies back in the day. I don't think they're used quite as often in public talks, but it does come up. So it's no surprise that the German government at the time were persecuting Jehovah's Witnesses. What may surprise you is that the president of the Watchtower at the time tried to ingratiate himself with said German government.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, well, it surprised...
A lot of people tried to do that.
Yeah, well, it surprised the hell out of me when I found out about it, especially considering how high they hold up the persecution.
Why, remind me again, briefly, why were they targeted?
They were considered an extremist group. It was just like... Oh, and they also did... As you know, Jehovah's Witnesses practice political neutrality, so they're not allowed to vote, they're not allowed to do the Pledge of Allegiance, all that jazz, so for that reason, obviously, that particular German government was, let's say, patriotic, just so we can keep this on YouTube, and they demanded that same patriotism.
Gotcha.
Yes, and...
that same allegiance.
Agreed, and that's something Jehovah's Witnesses would not work with. Hey XJW agents, quick pause here. Future Magog here. It did occur to me during editing that they may have been referring to Cold War Berlin, so Cold War East Germany, hence why they emphasize East Germany in the cartoon. So it could have been a Cold War young adulthood for Elsa. Either which way, it doesn't really explain why they glossed over everything that happened, but that could be why they didn't go into World War II specifically in purple triangles, though, you know, the witnesses have not shied away from highlighting their persecution under the Russian regime either. So just some food for thought. Either which way, I don't think it really affects the context of the video, nor do I think it heavily affects the red flag seen by the commander. Thank you very much.
Yeah, as far as red flags about that video, really, at the very end when she says something like, you can be friends with anyone who believes in Jah, that qualification of, as long as they believe in Jehovah, it's fine. It's like, literally the only barometer.
That is the only barometer, and that actually is correct. That is the only standard for friendship. And it does create, if you've seen the Australian Royal Commission, you see what sort of issues that creates. If you haven't, please pause the video. Go look up JW Australian Royal Commission and just have a stiff drink ready. I'm sorry, it's just going to be very difficult to watch. I'm sorry in advance.
So yeah, nothing in the video within of itself really pinged me other than what I've already said. Just obviously, and again, there's nothing wrong with the concept of having friends who are older than you. The fact that they have to be within the organization and you can't be friends with anyone outside of it is a problem. But we've already discussed that.
Right, we've discussed that.
We've gone into that a lot.
Alright, well that was a pretty simple one. We actually have a Jehovah's Witness filler episode for the next one.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's lesson 18, Respect Jehovah's House. Man, they got the rockin' tracks for this. Like, this is some Mario Kart action right here.
Yeah, some pretty good animation here.
Yeah, this is kind of where they were hitting their stride.
No pun intended.
On your mark!
They got Coach from Punch-Out.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Well, I haven't seen Punch-Out.
Well, it's a video game, but that's the coach. That's Doc. Doc is the trainer from Punch-Out.
Whoa, Caleb.
Damn, good catch, Dad.
Do you know what could have happened?
Yeah, it could have been bad.
Caleb, whose house is this?
Jehovah's house.
Imagine this was your house, and you invited your friends over.
Actual footage of JW teenage house parties.
Again with the catastrophizing. It's like the marbles all over again.
Oh, here it is.
At least my plane's okay.
How is he wrong in his own fantasy?
How would Jehovah feel if you were running and poor Sister Elsa got hurt? You can't fix her
See,
if she
poor
breaks.
Sister Elsa.
So,
I love how
you're
she's
running
an
the Kingdom Hall.
afterthought. It's
Besides,
all about
you need to
respecting
save your
Jehovah's
energy.
house.
I
Oh,
do?
and by the way, don't knock over Sister Elsa.
Get set, go!
There's 6 people there. Why do they need a megaphone? Okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah, I feel like I've already summed it up, what all's wrong with that video.
Maybe I should give you a little bit of JW context as to why they've done these things. So Jehovah's Witness context to this, obviously safety is a key concern. Here are a few things. Yes, Jehovah's houses, it's a little bizarre because they consider Jehovah to be everywhere, but culturally, the Kingdom Hall is considered to be Jehovah's house. They say Kingdom Hall, so they mean it literally as a hall inside Jehovah's kingdom on earth. So it's like God's little piece of his kingdom on earth physically. So that's supposed to be a sanctimonious, holy place for them. You can't even get married there unless you're an exemplary baptized witness. They're very strict about the things that go on in there outside of worship. So, you know, they wouldn't hold a party in there or a wedding reception. It would only be the ceremony. So they're talking about how you couldn't roughhouse in there. It's just another way of saying you have to be respectful to the Kingdom Hall because you have to sanctify God's name above all, and that's a physical representation of God, where God would be on earth. That's their big thing there. And for a while, they wouldn't even give these buildings up to other religions, even though nowadays you can actually see these being sold to other religions to be converted into other churches and temples.
That's quite literally selling out Jehovah.
Quite literally selling out Jehovah, so it adds a lot of layers to their real estate practices. Obviously, it was pretty simple. We don't want to hurt our brothers and sisters, yada yada yada. You want to treat other people's houses as your own. But the big thing, sanctifying God's name over all else. So yes, Sister Elsa was an afterthought because she is secondary to Jehovah.
Which sums up the whole problem.
Oh, well, I'll play the governing body's advocate here. Why is that a problem, Commander Fives?
Because the well-being of an elderly lady who could easily be put into the hospital.
Who's a war hero, by the way?
Who's a war hero, by the way? Could be put into a hospital with just a simple little fall, let alone being knocked over, by the force of a running child. That's less important than the theory. The intangible cerebral theory of God's feelings about the house of God. So yeah, again, just using at best the living people are at best an envelope for, again, it's all about Jehovah, and our entire existence is immaterial compared to that of Jehovah.
Actually, that's pretty much the belief system in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I mean, similar to the very first video that we reviewed together, yes, to teach the youngling to be mindful of his surroundings, not run into people, maybe not run wildly in public, but that's all you need to do.
Well, that being said, oh, actually, come to think of it, you mentioned a hospital, right?
Yeah?
Goody, we have a video for you. Let's go into lesson 26 anyway, the ransom.
We could always pop over to the Selena video.
Hey, look, it's your boy.
Much more square-jawed than usual.
Thank you so much for your visit.
See you later, Sister Elsa.
About that.
I'm guessing there isn't gonna be later.
Mom, is Elsa gonna die?
Oh, we don't know yet.
Can't Jehovah
Yet.
just fix her?
That's a good question.
Oh, honey. Oh. He's already done something to help her. Do you
I mean,
remember who
has he though?
sent?
Jesus?
Not just any Jesus.
How does that help her now?
Also a good question.
Do you remember how long Adam was supposed to live?
Forever. But then he didn't listen to Jehovah and ruined everything.
Man just wanted an apple.
Jehovah's Witnesses hate
That
Adam.
means we also get sick, old, and eventually
He's not a
die.
popular figure in many religions.
But what hope did Jehovah give us?
He sent Jesus to give his life in place of the one that Adam lost.
How could he do that?
Because he was perfect like Adam, but he obeyed Jehovah.
Yes. Thanks to Jehovah for giving us Jesus as the ransom. Now we all have a hope of living forever in paradise. And when we are going through tough
Is that your
times,
favorite
like
white
right
Jesus?
now,
I don't have a favorite
that
white
hope
Jesus.
can get us through.
But it's your boy.
My favorite white Jesus is the one that says, "Go away, Satan." It's funny.
Best white Jesus. And now she gets to imagine her in paradise.
Elsa? Sister Elsa!
Alright, I was talking over it. So to recap.
Why don't I just, okay.
Why are you poking me, Darth Magog?
I'm trying to stop you there so I can give you the JW context. So yes, Sister Elsa is in hospital today and dying, and Sophia had asked why Jehovah, who is all-powerful, can't do anything about it. The context behind this is that Jehovah's Witnesses believe that when mankind was created, they were created perfect and biologically immortal. They call it perfection because they don't want to say immortal, because that means you can't be destroyed or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
a type 2, type 3 version of immortality. But when Adam sinned in the garden, Adam specifically sinned in the garden, that's when we lost it. So, the Jehovah's Witness belief behind that is that sin is the reason that we get sick and die. And it's also a genetically inherited condition. Follow me on this. The thought process is that through Adam, sin entered into the world,
Yeah?
meaning that if Eve sinned, she just would have died on her own. But if Adam hadn't and had kids, his kids would have been perfect, and we wouldn't be getting sick and dying today.
The ableism's astounding.
Right, so yes, it's a genetic defect that we have imperfection, all because he did that. And to fix
Yep.
that, instead of just doing the smart thing and, turning off the gene that does that, because we know we can turn on and off genes. Apparently God didn't think of that. He just decided, hey, I'm gonna let these people live another 4,000 years in squalor and imperfection and just have all these things happen. Maybe drown them all in a flood once or twice. Blow up their cities with fireballs and all that. And then after that, I'm going to send my son, who I created first, to then create the universe through me. I'm going to send him to Earth, also with a perfect body, because I won't use a human, so he doesn't inherit that sin. Instead of, again, just turning off the sin gene, and then I'm going to run him around. I'm going to have the Israelite government and the Roman government murder him. The Jewish religious leaders and the Roman government murder him. And that'll pay for this other guy eating a fruit and getting genetic imperfection from eating said fruit, even though I could have just turned that off.
So what's the connection between Jesus doing all that and getting them to paradise?
Oh, okay, alright. So, because he did that, now we have the hope of being resurrected into a paradise earth, because Jesus paid for our imperfection with his life. So when Jehovah decides to destroy the world in his holy war of Armageddon, in any 5 minutes now, if you survive it, you get to live in paradise, and then God, at that point, is going to turn off your imperfection gene and let you live forever. And then all the other people who didn't get an opportunity because they died before Armageddon or even before Jesus, they get resurrected to get a second shot. And they're also going to have their imperfection gene turned off. So not only are they not going to get sick and die, but they're also not going to age, and anyone who is older will have that aging reversed. So we'll get to see Sister Elsa and her beautiful blonde hair and her lovely 1930s dress, and she gets to paint. Because we know she was painting in the early episodes, because we love Sister Elsa.
She seems like a nice Sheila.
She's like a grandma. She's a grandma, and it's so sweet. And that's the Jehovah's Witness context behind this. We hate Adam, we love Jesus because he fixed Adam. Also, Adam's not getting a resurrection because he had his chance. Forget about it. We're not going to talk about Eve ever, but we're going to talk about Adam because he was a jackass and ruined it for all of us. Because God apparently likes to punish the children of people who screw up.
Quick unrelated question. Commander Fives is curious. Did Jehovah's Witnesses have the equivalent of Adam's first wife, Lilith?
That is not a canonical Jehovah's Witness belief.
Alright, just wondering.
Any other thoughts? Or any childcare perspective about this, I should say?
Yeah, it's a really unrealistic response to helping a child deal with death, because they don't talk about, they redirect her feelings. She's sad about the possibility of this woman who has become a friend and mentor dying, and rather than focusing in on how she might feel, they immediately redirect her feelings to religion and a story. You know, it's not all that different from other religions, you know, telling a child, oh, it's okay, mummy died or whoever it is, but because they're in heaven now, they're in a better place.
Right.
That might help some people on some level. I absolutely would not recommend telling a child that.
Does it do something to them developmentally?
Yeah, it does, because they're not processing the feelings. I mean, it's all well and good if that's truly your belief system. If you truly believe that someone is in a better place, then I'm not going to tell anyone, you know, what to do. But that doesn't address the child's feelings. You can still be, even if you fully 100% believe someone has gone off to a better place, that does not preclude being sad and angry and whatever other emotions there might be surrounding the death. And even in a secular situation, a lot of what comes up is adults who are left behind talking to a child who is left behind. One of the things that gets brought up that people are advised not to do is to say, oh, the dead person went to sleep. Number one, that can give you a lot of issues and fear around sleep, especially if you're a younger child. And also, it doesn't really get at the heart of what really happened. It's a euphemism.
You know, the funny thing, I'm glad you mentioned that because that is exactly what Jehovah's Witnesses say. Fall asleep in death.
That is very interesting.
Actual doctrine. Yeah, I know we haven't discussed that. I'm surprised you brought that up on your own.
Yeah, something I've seen a lot in the literature on grief is avoid any sort of euphemism. The popular one being, oh, they went to sleep peacefully, or they're sleeping now. Yeah, no, it's not a good thing to do. I mean, what you do in a nutshell for a child who is grieving, you give them space and support the process, the whole range, the whole spectrum of feelings. Children feel, aside from just feeling sad, they can feel angry, they can feel abandoned, they can feel responsible. And just talking about Jesus and paradise doesn't address any of that. Yeah, I feel like it's a subtle way of requiring Sophia to be happy. I do think that her parents are genuinely trying to comfort her, but it misses the mark.
Also, funny that you mentioned that, because Jehovah's Witnesses are also really keen on being the happiest people on earth. Not making that last one up, by the way.
Nothing's wrong here, we're great. Yeah, there's a lot more I can say about children and grief and death, trying to remember if there's anything else. Yeah, just basically, don't lie to children, even if you think it's going to help them feel better. Number one, the focus shouldn't be all on making the child feel better. The focus should be on how does the child feel, and how can we respond to that in a way that's supportive.
Are there age-appropriate ways, or really are there age-appropriate resources that you can use to address death better than this video?
Yes.
Where would you find those?
On the screen here. I'd hit a whole course on it, so these are a couple for you to check out.
Well, thank you for that, Commander. Now, would you like to end the Sister Elsa trilogy?
Oh, there's more? I thought we watched 3 videos.
There was 3.
Trilogy means 3.
The racing one was actually an unrelated filler.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did say that. Okay.
Alright, so this is going to be a little more on the nose. This is our last one. It's called Lesson 30, Enduring Loss.
I'm guessing Elsa's passed.
Yeah, it's sometime in the fall. So this is what a Jehovah's Witness funeral looks like.
Okay.
They have a talk, they give very, very little of it is about Elsa. So there's them going out in service. having a little hug at the gathering, and his dad coming in. He's reading some Bible scripture. As you remember, it's your boy.
He always pops up, and he never shives.
Alright, I'm sure you remember this from the other friendship video, ironically, where Lazarus dies.
Yep.
Martha and Mary's brother. But Talia is nowhere in sight.
Of course not.
Because she's non-canon.
She played a part.
So now Jesus is going to go all Yu-Gi-Oh! And play Monster Reborn. And here comes Lazarus.
All bandaged up, like a mummy.
But he's all better now. And apparently that's what it's made Sophia feel better. Now it's springtime, and they're back in the Kingdom Hall, and they're back out in service, and they're playing Lazarus, and I guess Sophia has some friends or whatever now, even though she says she doesn't. That's it.
Okay.
They've moved on.
Notice the prominently displayed jw.org.
Always. Yep, that's it.
What even happened? What literally just happened in there? Explain, Lord Magog.
Let me bluster on more and give you JW context.
Bring it on.
We discussed the resurrection earlier in the video. Jesus died so we can be resurrected, come back to Paradise Earth, yada yada yada. So you probably did notice that Dad came in to do the spiritual counseling. That's because the father is the spiritual head of the family.
I figured.
Now, it's not that Mom isn't allowed to do these things, so she is allowed to give comfort and give guidance from the scriptures. In fact, it's mandated that you do that. That's part of helping your children make the truth their own, but you also have to inculcate them into the beliefs. That's an order of the religion. But the father is the head, so he's to take the lead in it. So if he's available, then Mom has to take a step back. She has to let him lead that spiritual work there. So much so, if she's conducting a Bible study and there's a baptized man in the house, she has to wear a head covering to show subjection to him. So that's why, and you notice in the cupcake episode, Mom was there, she comforts Caleb, but as soon as Dad shows up, he nods and she's like, okay, I'm gonna get out of the way. That's what that means.
Alright.
So we had that, and then you'll also notice that everything Sophia did after that was throwing herself more into the religion.
Snaky.
She was commenting and participating more in the Watchtower study. She was doing family worship, like they acted out the Lazarus story. You saw Dad, he had the sash, you saw Caleb wrapped up like a mummy in band-aids and toilet paper or what have you. You saw her at the Kingdom Hall with other little girls appropriately dressed as Jehovah's Witness children. You saw her out in field service because that's how they recommend you process the grief.
Of course it is.
Draw closer to Jehovah, and that will guarantee you are there when Armageddon comes. So if Marmageddon comes and you're inactive...
Ha! Marmageddon.
Right. The commander is making fun of my vocoder. So when Armageddon comes, it guarantees that you're going to survive because you have your faith and you've also supported it by works. Or if you die ahead of time, then you're going to be in Jehovah's memory. So either which way, you're covered and you get to go see your friend in paradise again. So that's the Jehovah's Witness context behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lean in a bit more here. Is there anything that could possibly be bad for a child in this video?
Oh no, nothing.
Any red flags here from a childcare perspective?
Oh no, they're all waving green.
Brilliant. Alright, that's the video, guys.
No, a lot of the stuff I said to the previous one also applies here. And again, as ever, sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Because becoming more involved in things that are meaningful to you can be a powerful antidote to dealing with grief. And it can be a good thing, but they are not putting the individual first. They are, again, putting the religion first, and they're literally using a child's grief to promote the religion. Gross. It's just gross.
Funny you should mention that, actually, because you notice we didn't see any of the funeral, right?
Yeah, just a glimpse.
That's pretty much all of the funeral that would be dedicated to Sister Elsa. So she's got a little picture there. They'll take about 5 or 10 minutes to discuss her. But because that would be like creature worship in Jehovah's Witness culture, they want to sanctify God's name first and say, hey, this isn't goodbye, it's a see ya later. Don't forget, you gotta get out in service. It's pretty much recruitment. It's, you ever been to a multi-level marketing thing where they have those little meetings and all that? It's like a recruitment meeting. So it becomes an extra meeting at the end of your week, or whenever the funeral is supposed to be. Then it's basically a reminder to Jehovah's Witnesses that, hey, we're feeling bad, but don't worry about it, Sister Elsa's gonna be right back, it's fine. And then probably after that, it's another half hour talking about Jesus and the ransom, and if you want to learn more, then talk to the elders. That's a very abridged version of it, but it's functionally what it comes down to.
Yes, so basically as ever, Jehovah's center, everyone and everything else is periphery.
Even if periphery, yes.
Kai. So, I just want to say, and this goes for both the concept of grief and for children in general, as much as we deservedly so like to rag on JWs or their organization really, the world at large does not do well by grief or by children. Our society anyway, does not do well by grief or by children, and they certainly don't do well with the intersection of those things.
Right.
So as much as we're rightfully criticizing the organization, I don't want to let the larger world off the hook either. That being said, it's again Sophia's actual needs are nowhere to be found in this series of videos.
Right, having lost basically her only friend, which is again canon to the rest of the series, she's always like, I don't have any kid friends, especially two, and Sister Elsa was one of the very few friends she actually did have.
Yeah, so there's no spice in which she ever gets to just be and feel how she's being and feeling in the moment. It's all about, in this context, it's throw yourself into the religion, and in the wider world, it's go be productive, among other things, for example, of things people are grieving to get told. But yeah, when somebody's grieving, of any age, and of course, the impulse is to want them to feel better, but that can and often does make people feel worse, because now they're feeling responsibility to feel better for the comfort of the people around. So that's a big thing that you'll hear people talking about their experience with grief mention. And I'll throw some books on the screen here. That's tough enough on an adult, but when you've got a kid who only knows this very insular belief system and they aren't taught their grief or where they happen to be in their grief on that day should be respected at all. So yeah, again, like I was saying before, the notion of a better place is all well and good, but that shouldn't be the forced focus. It's about giving the child space to express themselves, letting them know it's no judgment, and then responding accordingly with the knowledge that there is no magic cure. There's no one thing that you can say to make it better. It requires ongoing support. Support looks different on different days. It looks different for different children, different ages, different temperaments, the nature of the relationship to the person who's been lost. How they died can make a big difference in what the child experiences and needs. And none of that is present in this video. Also, the whole see you later thing. Like, even if we knew beyond doubt, I know they think they know beyond doubt, but even if there was actual scientific evidence that was true, let's pretend there is.
Right.
For a minute, it's still a loss. It's an indeterminate amount of years where you don't get to see or interact with that person anymore. So I feel like we ought to leave room for that for the kids.
Well, I think that makes perfect logical sense. Now that you've seen the whole trilogy plus the bonus episode as a whole, do you have any final thoughts for our XJW agents?
Yeah, they did Sister Elsa dirty.
They did Sister Elsa dirty.
She's a prop in every single one of these videos. Yeah, she's a plot device. It could have been a really nice relationship for them to explore more, but they're not going to because they're not actually invested in Sophia having warm, nurturing relationships. They're invested in her associating with the right kind of people.
Right, and again, she doesn't have any other friends there, so yeah, Sophia's a plot device.
In any other context, you'd think that the repeated plot point of, I don't have any friends in this organization, would be a criticism of a current environment, and the resolution would be her getting out. But it's not that. They don't want her to actually have friends. They just want her to internalize who she's allowed to associate with without getting disfellowshipped. And there's the big tease about them actually giving Elsa an interesting backstory. Going back to the, World War II era Germany where she was, there are so many directions you could have gone with that, and they went into none of them.
Well, yeah, those wouldn't be directly applicable to Watchtower Doctrine, of course.
Again, bringing me back to my original point, which was they did her dirty and she's a plot device. Yeah, none of the characters in the series are actually cared about. Yeah, the message is literally, we don't care about you, you don't matter, what matters is what you're giving to Jehovah.
Well, Commander, thank you very much for your analysis today. Always insightful. We're going to be sending you down to Felucia to work out some of these aggressive feelings.
Hell yeah.
That being said, XJW agents, what do you think? Do you think that Sister Elsa got her due, or do they need to reboot this series and save this woman? Whatever your thoughts may be, we'd love to hear them in the comments down below. Also, if you have any other JW children's programming you'd like us to review, please leave those in the comments down below as well. Remember, XJW agents, the Elders may be watching you, but Darth Magog is watching the Watchtower.